show out and
step
out and show
ninja.
Show a ninja, right? Like, but you knew you had to because if you didn't, everybody's gonna get on you.
Man, it was
quick. It made you be your best. You know what I mean? Because you wasn't about to be caught slipping.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Dadpod Bodcast. It's gonna be a good one. 2025 is gonna be the year of us. And when I say year of us, I don't mean just me particularly. It's just whoever you want to involve. Like, just be you. Do what you got to do. And just be happy, because I'm happy to be here. Well, I got a special treat for y'all today, y'all. So this is Mr. Jason Harris. Man, this man, I've known this man since 2002. We graduated together. So you know what that means. This man finally got me a Xavier right, y'all. I finally got me a Xavier right. So I've known this man since 2002. We graduated together from Xavier. He has been on a journey. Ironically, every time that I do something in California, I run into this guy. Like, I'm at a birthday party. I run into this guy. I rupture my Achilles and go to the hospital. I limp into the hospital. I run into this guy.
I remember that.
We had a football game. Who was in the corner? Jason. I swear. So it was only fitting. And then let's talk about it. You know, having Tony on the last episode, he hit me up like, man, I teach his kids. This is Mr. Everywhere. Like, I just had to have him on. I want to welcome y'all to Jason. Tell him about yourself, brother, man. Appreciate you.
Well, I've known this guy since 2002. He was the man in XU. Don't let him lie to you.
Man, that's bull.
That's why he put himself on camera now, because he knew his stardom couldn't just stay in Louisiana and a little bit of LA. But my background is I love science. Been doing science my whole life, and through that, I ended up getting a degree in biology and chemistry and a master's in biomedical science. Then went through a long journey trying to figure that out, but ended up in education. And so for the last 14 years, I've been the academic advanced teacher for science, and then I did some SAT, ACT tutoring. I do academic advanced counseling for high school students trying to get into like high-end colleges. I do, what else? I do everything. I tutor you if you need any kind of tutoring in science. And also I teach, I decided to go into elementary school science because I learned that kids learn if they want to be in STEM by the 3rd or 4th grade. So I decided to try to, encourage, I guess, kids to find their love of science like I found my love of science. And it's been really working out. I decided to do it in the South Central LA to try to motivate kids that look like me to do be the next great doctors, engineers, astronauts, and everything else that runs this country. So.
Man, that's dope. All right, so you say you inspired them or early with STEM. How'd you figure that out?
I was just doing research because, like I said, I tutor all these kids in AP Bio, AP Chemistry, and I was like, I want to work with high schoolers and just really use all this science that I know. But then I was just doing research, and they were like, kids figure out if they want to be in STEM by the 3rd or 4th grade. So I was like, well, I think I'd rather just motivate kids to want to be in STEM than just teach, the AP Bio, AP Chem. And I was like, more importantly, I want to teach kids that look like me, motivate them, the kids that look like me, to want to be in STEM and pursue those academic careers. So, it's been working well. Kids love, I work in Compton, and all those kids, they love science. It's literally the favorite class at the school. We have we're going to be doing science fairs, and the kids are really they go to science. They're taking science classes outside of the school now because of me. So it's really been great. And I'm seeing a lot of Black and brown kids really start loving science at an early age. And I know, because when they go to their middle school, their science teachers, because of me, they're being held to such a high standard because they really want to learn their science.
So do you think, and this goes into what I want to talk about, do you think there's a future in Black children, Black men, to become Black men in science? The reason why I bring that up, because we look at today, that's not the most popular jobs. You know what I'm saying? Becoming a science teacher or studying biology or STEM is not the pretty jobs. You know what I'm saying? It's not where the money's rolling in. So do you see that, and this is my question is, do you see that there's going to be a shift to where what you're implying and what you're doing will help later on.
Well, I think science, right? The word ology, the etymology of that word ology just means the study of, right? So if you're into just breaking down anything, you're a scientist, right? So I think we have to understand and not limit to it just being somebody in a lab or maybe necessarily somebody in a doctor's coat, right? The people who run our computers are scientists. Dude, that's not going nowhere. AI is not going nowhere. So, I mean, I think like it's just all about how we define these words. Like I was telling my daughter the other day, like words are powerful and the definitions we get. And so the definitions these words carry are powerful. So like, you know, whatever you're into, if you're into breaking it down and really understanding the foundational basis of it and taking that information, right, and making it greater, seeing what's needed, more importantly, and fulfilling that role to make all the money you can make in America, right? Then you're a scientist. Whether you're the scientist who made the zipper because you saw how, you know, or the scientist who made, you know, ChatGPT. Both of those people are scientists, you know, and you know, or the scientist who learns how to build a house correctly. And so it never falls down in an earthquake because it's on rollers, right? So I mean, I think all these things, science is not limited to a lab. Science is just limited to inquiry. And if you're really into thought, thinking, and solving problems, then you're a scientist. And so I think, and that's what I try to teach my kids. So I just want them to like, if you are into like looking into things, then you're a scientist. And so, you know, especially with the computer age coming out, with all this ChatGPT, all this AI, you know, we need to have a foothold in it. The space is so open, anybody can take it over.
Facts.
And so it's not limited to race at this point. It's limited to knowledge base. Okay. And so who's going to be the first one to do that? Which parent? And I can tell you, as like the school that I teach at, all the academic advanced schools, to be honest with you, you know, I ain't got a problem with it, but it's 90%. It's a school that first they teach Chinese language, right? And then through that, the kids go there, but because you can only teach that, you know, once or twice a week, the kids go there the other 6 days out of the week to learn about English and math. And so we're teaching them, so whatever they're learning in their school, we basically teach them a month and a half ahead. So when they go to school, they're relearning the stuff. If they're learning it with us, they relearn it in school. And then when it's time for the test, they reviewed it 3 times to the average Americans 1 time. Right. So this is the whole process they go through. I've been doing that for and so these kids, right? My point is that they're learning like we just have to teach our kids to learn and how to learn and how to be on top of their learning. And then through that, whatever they're thinking about wanting to become, they can be the scientists of that. Right. Because whether it's AI, computers, or dance or whatever, not dance, but, you know, English and stuff like that.
No, but okay. You said we got to reteach them. So that means parenting?
It's always about parenting.
Okay.
It's a 99.9% about parenting. I mean, yes, you can put them in the right schools, but that's where my school comes in, right? So these kids, they go to school from 8 to 3:30 at their regular school. Then 8 to 3, then from 3:30 to 6, they come to my school, right? And that's where we do all the after school training. That's where they learn about all the extra English, all the extra math. We do extra SAT tutoring. We do extra ACT tutoring, right? We do all these extra tutorings to keep them ahead. Right. And that comes down to parenting, because what do most American parents do? First of all, they're mad that their kids are even getting homework. They fight with teachers about that. When my kid comes home, they should just be able to focus on home. What do these Chinese and Taiwanese parents do? When their kids come home, they put them in more school. They say, keep learning. Right. And so now these kids are always so at home, it's about being disciplined. It's about learning. It's about being the best in your class.
Okay.
And so the parents have very, very high expectations that they do not let their kids not meet. But Americans like their kids to relax. We like our kids to have fun. They need to have balance, right? And that's what we teach, which is fine. But that doesn't help us in school. And that doesn't help us become the engineers and the AI scientists that we need to become.
Okay. And you say, so it's parenting. You're a father yourself, right? You said your daughter's 15?
15.
So as a parent, knowing that, and as a teacher, are you conflicted?
No, it makes my daughter she probably hates it because I have such high expectations. And my daughter is like me. And if you know me, I wasn't not a quiet guy. I talk a lot and I go against the grain, and my daughter's the same. She talks a lot. And if her teacher says something she doesn't like, she goes against the grain. But, you know, it's just I learned from these other parents about having high expectations. Okay. And your kids will if they love you and you've built a good relationship, they will do everything to meet your expectations. And when they don't, you know, of course they won't always, but you have that conversation with them, they'll change and try to meet those again. So I just feel like expectations are everything, and you can't lower your expectations ever.
Okay.
So that, I mean, and not only expectations, but also like investing in your kids, right? Like you can't just say do good. Well, what are you doing to help your kid do good? Are you just having high expectations? Are you giving them workbooks? Are you reading with them? Are you doing their homework with them? If you can't do homework, are you giving them a tutor? I mean, these are all the things that are necessary to advance. And I think this is the problem that we don't do. We don't put our kids in these systems. We don't buy our kids workbooks. You know, we expect the teachers to teach them everything when that's not where it happens.
Well, systematically, we've been predisposed to it. I mean, you got to think about it like, I look at my parents or your parents, you can look at it. My mom worked 2 jobs. Shoot, I mean, how many jobs you work?
So at one point I worked 4 jobs.
You know what I'm saying? So because we have to try to get ahead. You know what I'm saying? We're late. You know what I'm saying? I believe that as African American men, that I didn't get ahead until 30. You know what I'm saying? I didn't get a point to where I was able to make enough money to where I didn't need help and to be able to catch up with my same counterparts. So like the 25-year-old white male, I caught up with at 33. You know what I'm saying? And if anything would have distracted me, any deterioration, any issues, you know, police, drugs, anything that could have came in my path that was there, I wouldn't even made it to that point. So, and we're advanced in our parents. So you said when you talk about, you know, teaching them, getting the time. So how do we figure it out? Because we're all behind the curve, time. You know what I'm saying? We're still trying to make everything work as parents. We're still trying to make everything work in society-wise. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, I have a 3-year-old. We do read to her every night. It gets annoying. I get exhausted, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm tired of reading the same book. You know, look, Llama is getting on my nerves. You know what I'm saying? I know everything about Llama, but I know I have to do that, but I'm also exhausted. You know, and so we know, and I'm more of a fortunate person because I'm married, so it's a 2-parent household. That's not all of us. You know what I'm saying? So when we sit there and have to put forth in our parents, is there a connection that the teacher and the parent can make to get there? Because I had the 12-year-old, you know, I had some teachers that were good. I had some teachers that didn't care. You know what I'm saying? Trying to find that connection to say, hey, what can we do together so I can help him further, or you can be honest with me so I can get him to this point? Because right now he's not interested in anything. He's interested in Fortnite, Roblox, TikTok, and whatever his older brother does.
Right. But you also that's what you're giving, as a parent, that's what you're giving him access to. Give him access to a sports team. Give him access to one of those academic advance programs that these kids are putting in, right? It's like what, as a parent, are you doing to curve his interest or her interest into more, you know, things that will help them be better set up for success future on, right? Like I was saying, these parents that send their kids to my school, the kids don't have an option on Roblox and stuff like that. They go to the school. It's not even like, I want to play Fortnite. You know, like you can't. You're at the school learning to. Now, mind you, when you think about it, you go to school from 8 to 3:30. You come straight to our school from 3:30 to 6. And then by then you should be, we at our school pride ourselves that we don't send kids home with homework. So by 6 o'clock, okay, you've worked hard from 8 to 6. You should be able to go home now and maybe have some time on Roblox and Fortnite. But I think the problem is our kids come home, they eat food, go on Roblox, Fortnite. Now they've already tuned out the working life. Imagine going to work and getting a 3-hour break of chilling and then having to go back to work.
Oh, that sucks.
That would be crazy. You wouldn't want that, but we expect our kids to be able to somehow mentally be able to figure that out.
That's a nugget.
Keep them on task until it's time to break task.
So with the 8 to 3 o'clock, they don't get homework from that?
No, they get schoolwork, right? They're in regular school. The kids go to some regular school. Then they come to our special school afterwards.
So what about their homework from the regular school, though?
That we do that at our school.
Okay,
it's broken down I'm not trying to like give them any kind of thing, but I mean, it's broken down in 3 blocks. So the first block, they go every other day we do English and math. So Monday will be English, Tuesday math, so whatever. But then, so one day will be a topic, right? Mm-hmm. Then the other half of the day is homework. Okay. So you learn something new, you do your homework. Now, whatever half of that day that falls under, that's on, you know, our scheduling. Mm. But my point is, like, it's set up in a way to where by the time the kids get home, they shouldn't have homework.
Okay.
But they're doing work all day instead of having this huge break in the middle and then getting back to work. You're in Fortnite. Think about, we used to play video games. You're in the middle of a video game. You don't want to break it to do vocabulary for the day. Nah. You're like nowadays they can talk to their friends and stuff. They're having they're living their life now. Now you just want to break it so that they can do, now with Roblox, right? You can get your kid maybe interested in, like, what are the offshoots of these, right? Roblox is a computer. I heard you can develop your own games on it, right? So maybe your child is interested in like computers and like building games up. Maybe get them into a program for that, right? Like there's things you can do to advance them academically that isn't so just about having fun necessarily.
Okay.
So that's what I would do. I would like look at their interests and then find, well, where's the academic offshoot of that?
And what grade do you got most of your kids at? You talked about...
that school's from kindergarten to 12th grade.
Okay.
Everybody goes to that school.
Okay, kindergarten, 12th. Ooh, that's okay.
Yeah, so it's just they come there right after school and sort of...
Can you see the difference between... I don't think you've been there long enough to see somebody go from cradle to grave.
No, I've been there. Yeah, I've been there for 14 years.
Okay, so from cradle to grave, have you...
our kids go to the best colleges.
Okay.
Like they don't go to... Our kids don't go... Even the kids that we would consider our lower ranking kids end up at like Berkeley and stuff.
End up at like Berkeley.
No, but I'm just saying, they're dope. Like, I mean, our kids,
dope.
The last kid I taught the SAT, she got a perfect score on the verbal. I mean, our kids are like, and they go through the process. So, I mean, and it's not like, she's not a one-off. You know what I mean? I've taught a lot of kids that have gotten perfect scores on their things. Like, they're not one-offs. It's because the system, the discipline. It's like, and by the time they get there, it's like, they don't have no choice but to do good. And to do, even their version of bad is very good.
Okay, so...
And it's not like they're smarter. They just put in the work. And I think that's the one thing I learned when I started teaching at the school. I was like, these kids aren't smarter. Think about it. In the summer, so if you're in the 5th grade, and you're about to go to the 6th grade, we'll teach you everything in the summer for the 6th grade of your first semester. So you come to our school and that summer, you learn everything you're going to learn in the first semester of 6th grade. So now when you go to 6th grade, like I said, you're reviewing the work. And then when you come back to our school in the 6th grade, we're still a month ahead we work so that you end up like a month or two ahead of your class. So now you're seeing things 3 times before every other American sees things 1 time. And then now when you study for the test, you've now seen it 4 times.
So why?
So these kids have so much repetition that it's just so easy for them to do. It's hard for them almost to do bad on the test.
Why is this program not worldwide? Why is this program not?
Because parents don't want to do this. It's easy to give your kid pay $200 for an iPad and not have to think about this anymore. There's programs that are everywhere. There's Kumon, there's the math things. I mean, these are things you can just Google after school learning programs. My program isn't special. It's just one of many. But like this is the problem in our community, right? We're both college grads and we don't even know about this.
Facts.
I didn't even know you could take SAT prep classes. I took the SAT off the top of my dome after a football game.
Yeah, I had ACT prep. So.
I didn't know about it. My parents didn't tell me about this stuff. I had to just do everything on my own, right? And so as a community, we don't even know like how to navigate these systems. And as their community, these other people come fresh off of the plane from their countries already instilled into how to become academically successful in this country. And we're over here, been here for 400 or 500 years. We don't know about the programs. You're a college graduate, just ask me about the program.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But you said something that we talked about, right? You said community. Do you think we got a community?
No.
You know what I'm saying? We use the word.
No, not at all. We're very, unfortunately, I mean, I think fortunately this generation, because we're starting to acknowledge it, we're developing it, but I think like, unfortunately, we've always looked at each other as, competition. And it's I'm trying to change it in my circles. And I think that's the only thing we can do is try to change it in our circles. But yeah, I think unfortunately, people are, for whatever reason.
And I wanted to say that, and the reason why I brought that up is because one, like I said, I was glad to get you. Like, as soon as I knew, I was like, man, I gotta get Jason on. But like I told you, it's hard trying to get the support from even my own Xavier Rice. You know what I'm saying? And here's the thing, like, I don't think that if I didn't ask, but we don't support each other well enough. I got a lot of support from Howard people that I never went to the school. A lot of support from people who just know me now versus the people that kind of grew up with me and see that, I'm trying to get here and there. And unless I become booming successful, that's when everyone's like, hey.
Do you think that's
I think that with the community.
Right. Because I hear that, just looking at Instagram, I see that a lot. Like people just say people who know you don't support you and the people that don't know you always support you. So, but Yeah, I think but we got to change that in our circles, right? In our immediate circles. And then will keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Do you think we developed it so I'm thinking we developed this probably this, I don't know, I guess high school, this competition, high school. Because I mean, we both went to HBCU. So it was the first time that we kind of didn't have the pressures of racism that was kind of beaming on us. We got to actually kind of be free. And at that moment, I mean, we did what we did better. You know this. We clicked up. We started to formulate our own opinions. We started to get real competitive because, I mean, and we wasn't even put against each other competitively. Like when I was back in elementary school and high school, I was competing against everybody because I had to get somewhere. I finally get to HBCU and I was probably more competitive of everyone else around me as ever. And now
the 18-1 female to male ratio.
Man, look,
it didn't hurt.
Look, it did.
18-1 didn't hurt, but
it didn't hurt us, man. And then we still was competing.
I know, that was the crazy part.
We still was competing.
That was the crazy part.
And I'm wondering, like, and this is the reason why I definitely wanted you a part of it, because you're part of the education system. You work with Black kids from the early. Like, what do we need to do? Followers, people, dads, parents, to one, you know what I'm saying? Like you said, get them prepared, create that community, and I guess kill the competition. Because I mean, I don't want to compete with. I've been forced to have to compete my whole life. You know what I'm saying? And it's funny because I often tell this with my relationship, my wife, like, we don't have to compete against each other. You know what I'm saying? We're on a winning team. But is it because everyone feels like they could be number one? Do you see that early on where they feel like that one kid feel like he has to be number one, so he tries to outcompete everyone else? Because I know we see that as we get older.
I think we have a lack of mentorship in our community.
Facts.
Right? And I think that's probably what makes the competition happen. Because if you're always looking to if you're always looking to mentor somebody, there's no competition because there can't be competition. The teacher wants the student to surpass them because that way the training can now only get better. Right? So I think our problem probably in our community is, I would say there's no mentors. I've honestly never had a solid mentor. Somebody I could be like, they grab me up and pull me all the way across. You know, I just think like, I think that we lack mentors. I think, and with that, so we lack, and that's part of having a community, right? Leaders who teach the younger people how to be the next generation of leaders. And I think that we don't really have a lot of that. And how could we change that? I would say like, it's important for us, the adults, the Black grown-ups now. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Gotta have a 50-year-old kid. It's crazy. But anyway,
Man.
The Black grown-ups now to take lead of our community, to start looking into these organizations and seeing how can we use the knowledge that we've gained to help our community get better, right? Like we were talking about maybe, you know, how ROTC and stuff like that, right? And helping out them. And so like, and you know, with me, I'm doing various other organizations, but it's just like, I do that. I always am very active in different organizations and stuff like that personally, because I want the next generation to be better than me. I always tell my daughter every day, my goal is for you to be 20 times better than me.
Facts.
Like, so,
Facts.
You know, I feel like the crabs in a barrel mentality comes from the lack of mentorship that we have, that nobody's telling other people to bring us up. And it's just like, you better get yours because there's only so much pie left. And so, you know, and we always think like, oh, they're not going to hire a bunch of us. So if I get in, you know, I can't bring in too many because then if it gets too, you know, Black, you know, what's going to happen. So, I mean, I just feel, but you don't see that with other races. I remember, you don't see that with other races at all. You know, I'm not here to talk any mess, but I remember when I worked at this hospital, there was a Black lady who was in charge of the janitorial staff. And the janitorial staff was multicultural, right? Everybody, they were good. I love them. They were good people, right? Then all of a sudden she left, moved to Vegas, got a better job. And brown person became in charge. Look, I love everybody. My family has a lot of cultures. But I promise you, within about 2 years of me working in that hospital, every cleaner of the hospital was brown as well and spoke Spanish. So it's just like when now I'm not knocking her, when other cultures get in, they look out for their own. Right? And when we get in, we just want the best people in the positions because we want to keep our job, which is cool.
Yeah.
There's a great thing to that, right? I mean, that's, you know, but at the end of the day, I don't know what I'm really trying to say there, to be honest with you.
No,
I just feel like we don't really look out for ourselves, but I don't have a problem with other races looking out for theirs as well. But it's just, we live
in fear.
Yeah, we live in fear. We always want, yes, we live in fear and scarcity. And we always want to just, I don't know, not lose our job by giving it to them.
We don't, it's funny, it's ironic that we the people who don't want to rock the boat.
We were on the boat.
You know what I'm saying? Ironically, we the ones who came on the boat, but we don't want to rock the boat.
Right.
And the problem is that I'm seeing, and the reason why I see it in the military, I see that too. You know what I'm saying? Blacks do not, they're very hesitant on which blacks they help. Now, me personally, I don't care. You know what I'm saying? I got knowledge that I want to give out. At this point, I got to the point to where I got 24 years in. Like, you know what I'm saying? It ain't much you can do me. You got to give me my disability. You got to give me my retirement. But I had to work so hard to get to that point to where I don't care and I'm willing to pull everybody up. And I can understand like certain people who don't want to do that. You know what I'm saying? We got a brother down in Atlanta, man. He knows who he is, man, who is one of the top brain surgeons I know. You know what I'm saying? But guess what, though? When they was trying to pull him down, they was trying to pull him down. They didn't want to support him. And so I get how we don't want to rock the boat. I hear how we live in fear because the higher we get, the less is us and the shakier it gets on how we can stay stable. You know what I'm saying? And so you're at a position where you're in working with kids. Do we try to change the narrative up top of us adults? Or do we kind of chalk it up and start working on the younger ones and try to build them? You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know.
I think that's trying to take the responsibility off of us. It's a top down approach, right? So we got to do it. It's not on the kids. The kids, their frontal lobe does not fully develop until they're 25, right? So what are we going to expect these kids to do?
Hold on. The frontal lobe does not develop until you're 25. 25. So anything I did before then.
So but our point is like they don't know, right? We don't even know as young adults like the proper stuff. So we can't expect the kids to lead us. We got to lead us, and we got to stop being
mentorship.
Huh?
We have no mentorship.
But then who's? But unfortunately, like I know, like because we're just now becoming grown-ups, we don't like to look at ourselves as grown-ups. But it's our job to be it's our job to be who our parents were. Right? To have those big family gatherings, to start being the people to tell the little kid, hey, look here, we're the unks now. We're the aunties now. You know what I mean? We're getting to be that age. So it's our job to now go into these organizations and be the leaders and teach these kids how to take how to move the black race up, how to move, how to secure the jobs of the future and all that good stuff, whether it be in science, astronauts, plumbing, construction, whatever you want to do, I think it's our job though to just keep them off the streets and more focused and to getting into these jobs of the future.
So we got to shift our focus. As unks and aunties now, as OGs, we got to change our focus to start focus. But here's the problem I'm having. Here's the problem that I'm seeing. Some of us still feel like we still can grab the pie in the sky. You know what I'm saying? Like, even like you just said though, like we are the adults now. Do you feel like you're the adult now? I mean, you work in a
I feel that I have the experience to help people with their problems.
Okay.
I feel like I have the experience that if somebody were to tell me like what they're going through, I could probably find something that's relatable to try to relate to them and help them get through it. I feel like I've read enough and I've been to be able to like have backing on why I'm saying what I'm saying. So I do feel like at this point, I'm at a point in my life mentally where I am confident that I'm not just talking ignorant all the time. You know, ignorance is just a lack of knowledge.
No, absolutely.
So that's all I'm saying. I just think I have more knowledge now too.
Are you're more focused on looking back to help versus look forward now? Like, are you?
I don't think there's a one. I don't. As humans, we're not. Unfortunately, especially as humans, especially as fathers, we don't have that luxury to not be able to look back and forward. We have to always keep a back and forward look. We have to have a macro view on everything. Like we're Black fathers. Like we're not allowed to just look back or just look forward. Like
you gotta keep the head on swivel.
Yeah, you gotta keep it. You play football, you gotta keep your head on swivel. You gotta get knocked over. Like so, no, you. So yeah, no, I don't think. I think that's limiting the capacity of you to just say you got to do one or the other, or limiting the capacity of us to say. I think what's important is to look forward, but also like pulling back with us. Like, you can't just be selfish. Well, you can, but the more you look forward, probably, I don't know, right? I guess that's a weird dichotomy, right? But what do you think?
So, I guess, you know what though, and this is a good topic that we can veer off on, is that social media give us the illusion that we can look forward and grab some more. You know what I'm saying? But the reality is that now we're parents, we're mentors, we're OGs, we're looked at, that we need to kind of focus on there. And unfortunately, it's our generation, the Zennials, the early millennials, they're kind of caught in that purgatory. You know what I'm saying? Because we were promised the pie in the sky. We promised go to school, get the education, you're going to get everything you want, you're going to become this, doctors, lawyers, Indian chiefs. And then 2003 hit, where the internet went boom, and then all of a sudden it shifted to where all of a sudden now we're in the age of technology and you quite don't have to do all of that to get there. Mm-hmm. So we live in a boomer world with a Gen Z mentality. No, I'm sorry. We live in the Gen Z world with a boomer mentality. Right. So we're stuck. Because I find myself like, I'm too old for this. But then again, I'm like, I get it. Like you talk about the Chat GPT. Like with the military, we work on it. Like I work through Chat GPT a lot. So I understand it. But at the same time, it's like to get into the programming, I'm at that point where I'm like, bro, I don't have time for this. I got 3 degrees already. I'm trying to, I just want, just let me have my 100,000. You know what I'm saying? Let me have my 40 acres and a mule, bro. Like I'm at that point to where it's like, I'm tired. But then again, no longer am I want to be the mentor. I want to be the OG. I want to be the one looked at. But because I'm not chasing that new pie, it's not as interesting to the kids anymore. So like you being Mr. Harris and they love seeing Mr. Harris is amazing because they still look at you as a, you know what I'm saying, as a goal, like, hey, Mr. Harris is dope. But, you know what I'm saying, outside of being in the education field, though, like, nobody ain't trying to look to be like me. Maybe a few people in the military, because, you know what I'm saying, I'm in a stair-stepping structure. But like I said, I've said it before, my son don't want to be anything. He want to do anything that I'm doing. He like, man, look, you ain't making enough money, Pop. Like, you're not doing, you know what I'm saying, you ain't LeBron. Like, I'm sorry.
What do you think they want to do?
I don't think they understand that.
And also, how much, I feel like, as a parent, how much say-so do you think your kid has in options of what they want to do versus what you tell them what they should be looking at?
I think...
Because, like, me and my daughter, like, we have conversations all the time, and through those conversations, she wants to do forensic science, right? So, like, we have all these talks about everything she's interested in, books. When she came up with this, it was like I was constantly buying her these murder mystery books, these kids killing. I was like, why are you into, these like little Columbine high school yeah, she's into all like the crazy killing detective stories, right? So, but through that, I was like, well, through that and her love of science, she's like, I want to be a forensic scientist for like the CIA or something one day. I was like, that's pretty dope. Like that's very, but my point is like, as parents, what you should do is find their interest. If it's Roblox, I think like, and you even said like, I see the future as AI. Mm-hmm. You have a kid that's interested and doesn't really realize it in computers. I would find a program and put him in there and see like, and then maybe who knows, you'll be surprised how much a kid's love for something can make you love something too. I never threw a shot put. My daughter all of a sudden now is throwing shot puts and I'm over here coaching her, learning all this stuff, I know all these things now about shot put that I would have never thought I would be thinking about shot put, right? And so I'm saying like, you're talking about the AI thing. Who knows, your son and you might start some kind of you guys might, through you looking at his amazement and his joy in it, could bring you joy in his joy. And now you guys now you got some kind of reinvigoration. Like mentors and teachers, we go back and forth mentors and students go back and forth all the time. So I think like, and that goes back to the whole community building and stuff like that, right? It's all a circle of. I just saw this. The Lion King yesterday. So it's all a circle of life, right? Like, you know what I mean? You guys give and take and give and take. Yeah. And so I think like, I think as parents, as people, like you said, they sold us this dream. You go to college, you're going to get all the money you could ever think of. You're going to be a manager, and a lot of us just walked away with a lot of debt and learning all the different financial aid, Navient and First Aid and whoever else they're sending us now. So, I think the goal is to just teach our kids, to tell our kids our expectations of them and to see and have them sort of mold their life around that. Like, because I know these Taiwanese and Chinese kids, their parents' expectations are you're going to be doctor, engineer, computer programmer. You're going to be something big. So what do you want to do? It got to be something big though. Mm-hmm. Right? So it doesn't matter like what the kid wants to do. Even if it's construction worker, okay, you want to own your own construction company?
Yeah, facts.
You want to be a truck driver? Okay, they make good money. You want to own your own trucking business and logistics company? Like that sounds good. Right? Like, so like, I mean, I think it's just like talking to your kid, finding out their interests, and then like really diving into like, we live in a country where you can make as much money as you want if you're very good at it. So how does this interest you in that you think you could be very good at it then? And now we're building community. Now we're building mentorship. Now we're helping our kids become better.
And is college always the answer for that?
Definitely not. We know that. Come on.
Okay. I just want to say, because I mean,
no, definitely not now. I mean, there's so many ways to make six figures, right? Plumbers make six figures. My barber is a celebrity barber. He makes very good money. He's getting flown around by Floyd right now. So like, I mean, like, you know, like these people, cosmetologists make good money, right? My mom's hairstylist never has to worry about anything. And I know I pay $250 a month for my daughter's hair to get done. So I can only imagine how much she's making. And she's always booked fully. So, I mean, there's a lot of money out there, right? And those, in Europe, 50% of the students in Europe go to vocational schools. It's considered normal to become a plumber or a construction worker or something. And everybody knows they make just as much money. But in America, because they were trying to sell us this college dream, everybody started looking down on plumbers. Everybody started looking down on people who pick up trash. My homeboy reads the electric meters of in cities, right? He just reads however much electricity he makes. He makes almost six figures working for the city. There's so much, and he doesn't have any college loans. He don't have a college degree. I think he did some JC, but it didn't help him get the job. Right? So there's all kind of, you're in the military, right? My cousin did the military, and he works in the nuclear thing for the boats, right? So I mean, and he's been doing that for like 20 years. It's just like there's so many, and he didn't go to college for that. He just tested into it. There's so many ways you can make good money in America without going to college. I even tell my kids, like, or even my kid, I was like, look, you can do something else. If it makes, you know, whatever you do, you better be a leader, a manager, a boss at it. But there's so many other ways to make great money in America. And I just wish that we didn't poo-poo on the blue collar jobs like they try to, and just try to uplift the white collar jobs like those jobs are so much better. Right. And they're not. There's many examples you guys can Google of people who went to college and then opened up like a plumbing company or a construction company, or they opened up a logistics for a truck driving company, right? And now they make a lot of money giving back to their community. It's like, there's a lot of money in construction. There's a lot of, my friend, her dad probably has one of the few houses in the Gardena with the elevator. His house is so big. Wow. And all he does, he's a middleman for the construction equipment that they need for any place that's built. And the thing about it is, like, there's only 7% of all construction workers are black, right? Mm-hmm. So when you have a big company like the Intuit Dome, he did SoFi. I know he did SoFi. I don't know if he did Intuit, but I know he did SoFi. I know he did Staples. But when you have a big company like that, right, and you have to fill out all these contracts, part of those contracts say how many of your employees are minorities, veterans, right? Stuff like that. So if you own a construction business and you're black and you're doing a big contract like the Staples Center or something, they're going to hire you for a contract because that's a box they get to check off to get that bigger contract. Because they need the veterans on there. They need the minorities on there. Like, that's just part of having these big government contracts. So like, if you're a minority and you get into construction and you end up owning a company, there's a lot of money for you as that. And so I just think, like, we need to really look into, you know, telling our kids, you don't have to just go to college to make a lot of money. You don't have to just, you know, that's not where all the money's at. There's a lot of people who make a lot of money doing other things besides getting a degree. And then if you do go to college, what are you going to college for? Like, you know, if you go to become an English major, a history major, like, what do you do with those degrees, right? So I think if you do go to college, especially now that we've seen that it's a lie, go with a purpose. Computers, right? If you go for biology, go with a specific, like, I'm going to do, you know, going into med or whatever you try to do. But I think, like, go with a purpose. Don't just go with these general degrees, because it's definitely, like, we've been sold a lot.
So, all right, we talked about it. So, do you think, and then I'm gonna rephrase it in a two-part question. Do you think that HBCUs now are necessary? And then two, would you, at what age do you instill that they should go? Because right now, HBCUs have become popular because of course, Deion Sanders, because of now Michael Vick and Deshaun Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Now everyone is hip to go to HBCUs because of the allure. But as these programs you talk about, as these education we're pushing at, we're both HBCU grads. You know what I'm saying? We have, I tell people that, you know what I'm saying, I was born and raised in St. Louis, but I became a man in New Orleans at Xavier. And that experience alone was amazing. Like, of course, I mean, psychology, mass communications, got my degree, but the experience is what shaped me to be the man that I am today. Do you still believe that as a young, you know what I'm saying, as an educator of young, that, or, you know what I'm saying, and a daughter of a 15-year-old, that's still prevalent?
Yeah, I mean, especially with my daughter, our goal is Spelman. So, you know, even, and my daughter she lives, unfortunately, just because I want her around me all the time, but she lives in Connecticut. And so she goes to a predominantly white high school though. But even with that, and she's even had a couple of white boyfriends, but even with all that, like, she's still like, and I figured because of her going to predominantly white school her whole life and having these couple of white boyfriends that she was going to want to go to like some kind of predominantly white school. But no, she's like, no, Dad, I want to go to Spelman. And like, that's my goal. That's what we're going to do. That's where I'm going to start my forensic science career. So I was like, all right, cool. So and my mom always told me growing up, you're going to a black college. I don't care what you do, you're going to a black college. So in my head, I always thought I was going to black college. And she was just like, every black person who's ever been great has come out of a black college pretty much. And so whatever's happening over there, I want you to experience that. And what happened when we got there? Well, it was a little bit, you know, competition, but it's healthy competition, right? Okay. Like we were saying, like, you know, you knew when you stepped outside, you had to step out correct. You had to be, or people were going to clown you, right? Like the grades were a healthy competition. I was very healthy competitive with all my other science majors. Like, we would ask each other what we got, right? So it was healthy competition. Mm-hmm. And I think, you know, and then the teachers, you know, cared about me, that I got invited to a lot of office hours, you know, and you know, and so I got to meet my teachers very well. I hung out with some of my teachers outside of the classroom. So, mm-hmm. I mean, I think like all of that experience of just and before that, I went to school like very nice in Brentwood and in Palisades in LA, right? Mainly Jewish, white, Persian. I mean, I love those people. I'm still friends with some of them, but it wasn't the same. It wasn't the same community as I got when I went to HBCU. It wasn't the same comfortability as I got when I went to an HBCU. Like, I remember having like these black shirts that like I loved them, but I didn't always feel comfortable wearing them when I was at the predominantly white schools, right? But then when if you're at Grambling, you got a black shirt on, wear it all day, right? Like, so it's just the comfort of me being myself and me being able to express and find, like, you were able to find your manhood in Louisiana, right? Because you were able to be the most comfortable and figure out which hat fit the best in your comfortability, because you were able just to let your guard down for a second. And so I think going to the HBCUs allows you to sort of let your guard down and really see what feels comfortable for you.
So tell me, so you went to Grambling and finished at Xavier?
Yes.
Significant difference?
Yeah. Grambling's like going to school, like, I love Grambling. I would never trade the Grambling experience, but Grambling's just popping. Like, Grambling is like going to school at like, everybody sort of, it has open admission. So if you apply, pretty much you get in, right? So think about that student population. Kids that were applying to college didn't really know what they were going to do, and they all got in, and probably some of them didn't realize that. I found that out because I was in student government. It's just open admissions. If you apply, you get in. And so a lot of the kids there were just like, they weren't very good academically. So the party life was great at Grambling. Like, I remember going to a don't go to class party. And when I told my mom about that, she's like, you got to transfer schools. This school is too popping.
So that's how you
That's how I ended up Xavier, because it was too popping at Grambling. Like, I remember walking to class at 8 a.m. and my boy was like sitting outside the science building. He's like, what you doing? I was like, I'm going to class. What you doing? He was like, I'm going to the don't go to class party. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, it goes from 8 to 3. It ends when class ends. It starts when class starts. I was like, all right, let's go. So I went to the don't go to class party. It was probably the most popping part I went to. at Grambling. But like that was the problem. It was just too popular at Grambling. So my mom was like, you got to go somewhere else. Like, you know, you say you like science, Xavier's dope. Go transfer to Xavier. So that's why I ended up at Xavier. But my point is like the community though at HBCUs is just so strong that I think that if you're Black, it's a very good place to go. And yes, it's catching some notoriety now because Deion Sanders and Michael Vick and stuff. But I think it goes back to the conversation we were having about mentorship. And maybe those men are realizing the true goal of being a Black man, right? And that's to give back to your people. And so maybe like they're taking what we're talking about to action and putting it in action. And so maybe that's why they're going to the HBCUs. Maybe because they don't think it's necessarily hip, but because they're like, you know what? I'm sure if Michael Vick put his name out there, he could at least be an assistant coach somewhere.
Yes.
Who's not going to take Michael Vick to help them with their running quarterback? Like he could probably, but I think like, you know, the older we get, the more life experience you get. And honestly, if you think about Michael Vick, the more problems in life you've received and you've seen who's really had your back, the more you're willing to be like, you know what? I need to strengthen this community I got. So I think that's probably what it's a real representation of. Because even Deion Sanders, I mean, yeah, he ended up at Colorado State, but he started at Jackson State. Colorado, but he ended up at Jackson State.
Yeah.
I mean, he started at Jackson State. And I just think it's like, it's still, and he had the guy who won the Heisman and his son, right? Who were both. So he took that and he took them there first. Yeah. Even though he ended up where he ended up. But I think like, it's still just the mentality of, you know what, let me give back. Let me get back first. And I think, you know, so I just think that maybe they're taking this conversation that we're having and putting it in action. Okay. And regardless, I mean, and at the end of the day, we do live in America. So I'm not mad that Deion Sanders is chasing, you know, the bigger schools, or even if Michael Vick ends up doing bigger schools. But I think like the good thing about Black colleges is we always give each other a chance.
Yeah. And then look at this though. Now you have a Black head coach at an all-white school, which probably wouldn't have happened. So, you know, it's creating opportunities. I enjoyed it. I mean, let's be clear. No one knew who Colorado was really until Deion.
Right.
And we watched almost every dang game.
Right.
You know, and so I enjoyed it. And then you brought up something that made me think about it, about, you know what I'm saying, the teachers and stuff like that. Like, I don't know if you felt it, but, you know, Dr. Carmichael just passing away. Like, I felt that. So Dr. Carmichael is one of the most craziest science teachers in Xavier. If you went to Xavier between any of the 2000s and even before then, you knew Dr. Carmichael and his chemistry class. So that hit me. Like that, I felt, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, that was a part of my upbringing. And you know what I'm saying? And here's the thing. He was a white man. Mm-hmm. But he was so influential. Dr. Du Bois Williams, you know what I'm saying, for psychology. Like we say forensics, she was my forensic psychology teacher. Like, I'll never forget her, or Dr. Marion. And I didn't think about that until you said that, because all my teachers at Xavier, I really do remember them. Dr. Ryder.
Yeah, because they took you in. They think about it, right? You're naming all these teachers because
it's crazy. Dean Bird, you know what I'm saying? Like, as much as you hated him while you were there, but you love him now as you're going, like, you know, Norman C. Francis. So I get it. Those have become our mentors in some sense, because every time I see them, it's always love. All the time I see them, like, he's gone through a million students, but I ain't gonna lie, every time he sees me, he make me think that he knows exactly who I am. He could, but I always felt like he's like, man, come here, Donte. I'm like, do you really know this man? You know what I'm saying? But I think we're missing that, and it's weird because we're all products of that, but I don't see us replicating that where we go. Yeah. It's almost kind of, you know, that it reminds me of that reminds me, remember the Titans, right? Remember when they went off to the training camp and they got to be buddy and got to be friends, and they follow each other. But right when they went back to school, it went back to normal. Like, I guess you got to not like. I feel that's that way. Or is it because? And the reason I'm bringing it back. Is it because that environment is the only safe place that we still go back to that scared to bring it out here? Because even at homecoming, we go to homecoming, it's like, hey, but as soon as we leave homecoming, it's like, what's up, man? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I think that's just life in America, honestly, this fast-paced life we live, where we always are like looking forward to try to grab that next dollar. And I don't think it's personal. Okay. We shouldn't look at it as personal, you know, but like that's where those mentor relationships come in so important, because that way you always have a safe space to like bounce your thoughts off of that person. So like I said, what Deion did, what Michael Vick's doing, what
Deshaun
Jackson, what like all these people are doing when they go
Eddie
back.
George.
Yeah, when they go back and they give, to like these are the things we need to be doing.
Penny Hardaway.
Where's he at?
He's at Memphis. So he went to
okay.
The fact that he went back so he started off at a lower college, HBC, and then went to Memphis. So but yeah, I get it though.
I just think it's important to like just one of the hardest things to accept now is that I'm the adult. I'm not like my actions, like I'm in charge of my family. I'm in charge of like the culture that is going to happen. I think a lot of us are at that age now where we're realizing it's us, and we're starting to take care of, the roles are reversing where our parents are leaning on us more. Sure. And we're the dominant voice in the family and and we have to realize the responsibility that comes with that.
Man, it was something I saw yesterday that just blew my mind. We're at the age where our friends either have newborns or grandkids.
And newborns, grandkids. I got friends that have like, their medicine cabinet is filled with pills. That's why I'm in the gym all the time, between that and having a daughter. Just because like, I don't want to be, but I just think like we have to start realizing we're at that age where like kids, grandkids. I remember when all my friends were getting married and that was weird to me. Now my friends are getting divorced and like getting their second, in their second relationship. But more importantly, we're at the age where we have to start taking responsibility for the world we live in. More importantly, we're at the age where like we have to realize like this is our world. This isn't no longer our parents' world.
We haven't though.
And that's the problem. Like
the election proved that.
Yeah. So I think like that's what we need to realize. Like it's on us. It's not on them. It's not on the government or Trump or anybody. Like it's on us to do everything. We have to create the change we want in our communities. It doesn't matter who's president. If you're doing everything in your little community circle to help out another person be better, if you're doing everything in your community circle to make sure the children in your life are safe and cared for and they know that the expectations that they have to reach are high. If you're doing everything in your community to make sure that all the women in your life feel loved and protected and provided for, and that they can give the love and protection and provisions that they want, I think that it doesn't matter who's president because the world will be better.
Facts.
So I think that what we have to do is like, we just have to realize we're at the age where it's on us. And man up, woman up, and let's make this world great.
We ain't doing it though. We're not doing it yet. Is it?
But it's an individual responsibility, right? Like instead of saying we, like, what are you doing anything?
Okay.
Am I doing anything? Right? Are you doing anything? I think like that's the important thing. Like instead of complaining like about what's not being done or who's becoming president or who's not becoming president, we need to be complaining about what or thinking about what we can do to change our immediate community. Because if everybody just did that, if everybody just worked on making their little immediate community great, the world would be, it's just domino effect.
Domino effect. Damn. Okay. I agree. So if we look at our kids, because we talked about that, we looked at our kids being the fact that we got to make sure that they give them the opportunity. We got to push them harder because we're exhausted. We're the exhausted generation. You know what I'm saying? We talked about it because we were promised something, then we found out we wasn't getting it, then we kind of threw a fit, and then we kind of accepted. And so then part of us, we still, like you said, we need to grow up. But I didn't really become an adult until I had my 3-year-old, and I realized like, oh,
and kids will do that too.
I'm an adult now.
Mm-hmm.
She's calling me daddy and all night. You know what I'm saying?
I think the scariest part of being a dad was like realizing how much power you have over somebody else's happiness.
I didn't, and like I didn't realize how much, I've been responsible for me my whole life.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And what's crazy is, and I tell everybody this, like, I didn't become mortal until I had a child. That's when all of a sudden my humanity kicked in.
Mm-hmm.
The S faded off my chest. I didn't heal so fast. Like, I swear I've been able to run, jump, dunk, do everything, skydive, do everything crazy until I had a child. Yeah, no, then all of a sudden it's just like everything started hurting. Like I realized like, oh, this is it. And so then now it's like I'm nervous because of the world she's living in. You know what I'm saying? So trying to teach her how to have a man in her life, because I have to be that man in her life to show her how to have a man in her life. Try to teach her and him how to navigate in a world that don't want men in their lives. And then trying to find what they want, because we don't know. I can't honestly say that, hey, son, you should go to school, go to college, do this because you'll get the pie in the sky. I can't lie to you. I can't lie.
But what you can do is teach your son discipline.
Absolutely.
And that whatever you're gonna do, you better be great at it. I don't care what it is. Like what you can do is teach your son, like, you don't got to give him the plan, but you can give him the expectation of who the kind of man you expect him to be. Right? So like, yeah, I don't care what you end up doing, but my expectation is you will be great at it. My expectation is you will like be very disciplined at it. My expectation is you will make anybody you work for, anybody who works for you, very happy to be in your presence.
And let's say this, discipline is not control.
No.
You know what I'm saying? I want to make sure, because I've heard someone's like, well, you just want to control. No. Discipline is not control. When you're being disciplined, you're standardizing yourself to be able to take things and make adjustments, but not get faltered by extra stuff coming at you. Controlling means that you're basically locked into something. Right. And that person's either holding you there or you're holding it to it. And I want to be clear because...
Well, I don't mean you discipline them.
No, not you. I'm talking about, but I want to be clear because a lot of people can't tell the difference because they're like, well, you're military, so you're controlling. No, I'm just disciplined. You know what I'm saying? My expectations and what, you know what I'm saying, accountability and expectations is what I expect, which equals to discipline. You know what I'm saying? If you can be accountable and you meet certain expectations. Now, here's the thing. I don't expect you to meet all the expectations. I don't expect you to be accountable for everything, but if your goal is to be both of those, you're going to develop discipline. Mm-hmm. I'm not trying to control nobody. And I want to make sure I say that because many women have come at me and was like, well, that's just control.
No, women need this. Everybody needs discipline. Women, men, the whole human race needs discipline.
Discipline.
Like, I mean, it's not, it doesn't mean control. And it's discipline over yourself.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's discipline, knowing what's best for you and knowing, like you said, having accountability that when you're not doing it, you know, okay, I'm going to get back on it. Mm-hmm. And when you are doing it, giving yourself a pat on the back, like, good job for keeping my discipline. So no, there's nothing wrong with having, it's not a negative connotation unless you have some kind of negative thing you're trying to act out. Right. But like, you know, we're trying to be great. And so discipline to be great is great.
So your daughter came to you and said she want to go spell me.
Yes.
I'm trying to tell my daughter she ain't got no job or no reason to go anywhere else but Xavier.
Xavier's dope. Hey, look, I wouldn't be anti her. You know, I would love my daughter to go to Xavier, actually. And that's definitely we just haven't talked about it as much. But, and at this point, like, I feel like as a parent, right, it's not really our job to, like you said, the control, right? Yeah. It's just the support. And so Spelman, but like we all know the college process, right? We need to apply to more than one college.
Absolutely.
And then once we apply, right, we get our grades right, we see who's giving us the most money and all that stuff. So, but like at least we have a foundation on that we want to. Xavier's if you ask me, the best black college in the world, right? But like Spelman also dope, right? So at least at least the level that we're reaching for is high. Mm-hmm. You know, at least she's not just saying, Dad, I want to go to JUCO and just figure it out there.
And and it's because I think the experience that I think that my daughter and son needs. I think they need the experience of understanding what the love of being around other black people. And like I said, I don't think there's nothing wrong with PWIs. I you know what though? At one point I wanted to go to UCLA.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Coming from St. Louis, I was going to go to WashU until one of my teachers was like, yeah, you might want to go to HBCU. And then I didn't understand. Now I'm guilty. You know what I'm saying? I knew this girl from camp that was like, yeah, I'm going to Xavier down in New Orleans. And she was fine. So I was like, all right.
A lot of those.
Hey, I put in the application. I got accepted. I was like, yeah, it was good. Then she went to Vanderbilt. Hey, but it's funny because we're still friends to this day. But it's the fact that was one of the craziest. And I also got accepted to Howard. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to tell. I did get accepted to Howard. Howard didn't have housing. Xavier did. But the experience I got to be and realize how to become an adult. You know what I'm saying? Where that first year was crazy. Like the first year, grades dropped was something I wasn't used to because I was top of my class.
Right, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Xavier's hard.
You know, I was top of my class. School. I was number 11 out of 300. Like I was, you know what I'm saying? Look, I go to sleep, do homework. It was nothing until I got to...
Xavier kicked my butt when I first transferred there. I didn't realize what I was getting into.
Man, you know what I'm saying? Like, wait, we got chemistry and biochemistry and biology in the same year? Why?
That's crazy.
But, you know what I'm saying? But learning, finding out, you know what I'm saying? I tell people I met my best friend. I got, you know what I'm saying? I figured out who Donald Lorenzo Smith is. You know what I'm saying? And from that point, it was crazy because now we see the results of it. Like, everyone now, like I said, I laugh because everyone now is starting to get to know what HBCU is about. But you had to think about before there was a Kamala Harris, before there was a Keisha, before all of that, like they had to get to that point. You know what I'm saying? So they was in, you know, they were going to Xavier Howard and Morris Brown and Tuskegee way before it became popular. And I think that our children still need to do that. I think that my kids probably need to do that.
I mean, I got my master's from a PWI, and to be honest with you,
Mine
like,
too. Yeah, me too.
And I saw, but I was very active. Like when I went, I was like the president of my organization. I got to really see how campus life was when I was getting my master's, and it's a very different experience for the students. I mean, getting your graduate degree is different, just period. But I was very involved with the undergrad as the president of my organization because we did a lot of stuff. And honestly, like I can tell you, like the student life is way different. It's not as community based, to be honest with you. It didn't feel as the students were as connected. Mm-hmm. A lot of like, you know, I remember like at Grambling and at Xavier, like everybody was at the Union or stuff like that. Everybody was always hanging out. But people sort of go to their little separate cliques. They stay in their rooms, you know, and it's just, it wasn't as community based, even, you know, where I was at. So I see and the teachers weren't as, you know, even with the undergrads weren't as like, it wasn't as open. I didn't feel like the kids were as, so I see the difference. And if you're Black or, you know, but the thing about it at HBCUs, everybody's loved at HBCU. I know we call it historically Black college universities, but like, honestly, like if you're not Black and you go to HBCU, like you get so much love. Like
my roommate is white. I had a white roommate.
You get so much love. Like did he feel like the white? Like,
no, he didn't.
Like no.
He one time said, "Hey, look, I should get it. I'm the minority. I almost want to beat his ass. Like, I almost want to beat his ass." But I was like, "You, Adam, all right, brother, I got you."
I went to Grambling. The guy who was in charge of the band was Puerto Rican. Like the drum major. I mean, like you know, one of my roommates when I ended up getting my master's, Ahmad, was Palestinian, right? And he always had a girl. He always had girlfriends in love. So I mean, like I'm trying to put his name out there. My bad. But yeah, no. But I mean, I just think like you know. HBCUs are dope and like they take in everybody and they make everybody feel like the love. And so if you are not Black watching this, like, could I go to HBCU? I promise you, if you go to HBCU, you would be a star. Like you would be a star. Like everybody's gonna love you because the fact that you are bold enough to even come, like shows that you're down with the brown and Black. So it's all good. Yeah, no, but so I think HBCUs, to pivot all the way back, are great for people looking to become whatever you're trying to do, because you will find your teachers are going to be interested in you. You know, as if you're a parent watching this, just like my mom told me growing up, I never thought I could not go to HBCU. You know, you're going to HBCU. So I would even tell your kids, you know, if they start leaning into HBCUs or even could tell them you're going to HBCU, because it's a great experience. It's a place where you find your friends, you find the love of your life, maybe but you find a lot of things. So
I mean, who knows? Like we found the vice president. We found the vice president. You know what I'm saying?
And like I said, my mom did your research. Most very successful Black people come out of HBCUs because of that mentorship program, because you can go and really like grow into yourself. And because like when you go to other schools, you're sometimes overlooked for positions and for mentorship programs because you don't look like them and they don't want to, you know, help you out.
Yeah, so let's be honest. They don't look like us. They don't. That's pretty much in everything. That's in the work area. That's in the military. You know what I'm saying? That's in the schools. That's in the selection program. You know, that's in the walking down the street. You know what I'm saying? That's just the comfortability. And I think we just need to do a better job of making it comfortable around each other. As a mentor, as a friend. I mean, because, you know, we have a narrative. You know what I'm saying? Too many of us, it gets a little rowdy and we need to just be better with that.
But you know what was dope? I used to think that until I went to a HBCU, right? Because I remember, like, I grew up in LA, right? Like, and so it's like, anytime there was a lot of Black people at a party, there was going to be a fight, right? And so that's what I was used to. And so I remember my first culture shock was going to a party, seeing hundreds of Black people dancing like crazy and nobody's fighting.
No problem.
Everybody's having a great time. Everybody's fun. Everybody got back home safe that night. Like, so to me, that was the dopest thing.
That was
dope. I remember like just going my first freshman party. I was all scared. There was a football player from my high school football team that was a year older than me. He comes bouncing into my room, just throws the door open. Jason, I heard this was your room. Come on, we going to a party. He takes me to a party at ground. It's in the back forest. There's a forest with we had to walk through some trees. And once you get to the trees, there's a clearing. And all of a sudden there's just all these black people partying. And they look like the, excuse the French, hood ninjas from where, where I'm used to partying. So then, but we're just partying. And I'm expecting, from where I'm from, you sort of stand on the side and sort of peep, but everybody's just having a good time. Nobody had that look on their face like, I hope somebody steps on my shoe. Like, so by the end of the night, I'm partying, having a good time. And I remember just thinking the next day, like, how dope was that to see like all these black people just partying, drinking, eating, having a good time, and everybody just go back home. Like you said, like normally, a lot of black people show up, there's about to be something. But in this case, it's always a lot of black people, and there was a lot of time, most of the time, nothing. No. So that was dope to just see all these young black people be able to come together on just some fun, festive stuff that you don't see in South LA.
Did it change your mentality? It changed your mentality?
It started to, right? I started to look at and it made me start looking at my people different, honestly, because like I said, like we can come together, we can be in large groups and everything be safe and cool and, and not have these same, I can't even call them stereotypes because I was going to the parties and in the hood having to deal with these problems. So to me, it was just seeing that we're capable of doing it. And that was dope to me to see that we're capable of being in large groups and it just be a great, great time.
Man, we see it now. I mean, every year at homecoming, it's crazy when you just sit there like 2 years ago when I went. I was like, it's over $3 billion just sitting around here dancing.
Man.
Because we all doctors, lawyers, straight Indian chiefs. Everybody, XU sliding and Johnny everywhere. It's crazy. Just the love and the food and the energy. It's one of them things like it makes you feel so proud.
Yeah, definitely.
And I get re-energized but I come back and eventually the world tends to rip it away. And so
but think about how dope it would be when you come back though, now you have some kind of program where there's some kids to come back to and tell them about this story, to get them hyped up about going to their homecoming at the HBCU when they get older, right?
That's right.
So that's what keeps the circle of life, the circle of love, the circle of whatever going, right? Like, stop like always thinking like how can or stop the whole like crabs in a barrel, like we got kids but there's still more there's a lot. Look, as somebody who teaches in the inner city, like there's a lot of kids that need strong black men in their life, so like you don't understand like the commodity that you are in this world, especially in this community. Like, so I mean, we can always get back in some kind of program, and that's what would keep making you feel that way.
Okay.
Like, because that's how honestly when I leave work or when a parent sends me a letter saying, my kid loves science so much thanks to you. We're always looking at these little YouTube videos thanks to you.
Wow.
Didn't you tell me about the phone?
I thought I turned it off.
Sucker.
I thought I turned it off.
Yeah, the whole conversation.
No, it was. I'm sorry, it was my car.
But anyway, yeah. So the point is like, I just think that the mentorships, like if you continue the mentorship, you always will have that feeling. Okay. Like I said, because when I'm a teacher and the parents are sending me letters and stuff or giving me little gifts because their kids are so excited about science. It's like, it feels good to know that I'm helping like these kids in Compton or whatever. Like,
we talked about basically what we need to do for the kids, how we got to get them there. We talked about the impact of, HBCUs because we both went there though. But what I want to ask now is, what's success? Like, what is success to us now? Because we're no longer a stair step. We can't say that, having degrees and going to college and getting that white collar job has been success. We can't, how do we define or work out to be able to say, hey, you're successful when, or here's your perception of success can be this. Let me say that because I don't want to put a globe around what success is, but to inspire to say, hey, you can be successful. It doesn't have to always be monetarily. It doesn't have to always be, power, but how you feel that when we talk to these kids, when we get there, when we treat our mentorship, show them that it's okay to be these plumbers. It's okay to be these engineers. It's okay to be these sanitation or these truck drivers with the fleet of this. How do we do that? Because our community is jaded on what's successful because it has to be seen. You know what I'm saying? Because, us, we're jewels and followers and status. How do we differentiate status from success?
I think that's a great question. How do we differentiate status from success?
Or motivate them to want to be more successful than to gain status?
Right. To be more successful than to gain status. And I think it's like all comes down to like, what are we teaching our kids, I guess, about that? Like, so what, and I think success is being able to set goals and accomplish them. Right.
Okay.
So like, what
Set
does
goals, okay.
So what does that mean? Right. So like whatever, and that allows our kids or whoever to sort of allow their success to be their own. Because I think another problem is that we're always trying to run the next man's race. We're always looking at what they're doing over here, not realizing what they did to show us those pictures on Instagram. Right. I think that's a big thing too. Like you look at these people that you may be the same age as, are taking these trips to all these beautiful places, have all these nice cars, all these nice houses. You don't know the grind that they went through to get to that place, right? And so I think like a lot of times they show us the pictures of their success, right? But they don't show us the pictures of their grind.
The grind, or sometimes it's the stabbing or the overlapping, the stepping over that people do. Because let's be clear, Instagram, you either grind really hard or you cut really hard. You know what I'm saying? So let's be clear. Like, I try to tell them like, hey, I don't believe that there's a billionaire that didn't cut corners.
Right.
I just don't believe that.
Okay.
American billionaire that didn't cut corners or
there's probably none.
Or stepped on somebody to get there.
But if that's your goal, that's the kind of person you have to be willing to be. Right? So that's not a big deal. I think if you want to be a billionaire, you got to have the kind of mentality like, I will cut you if I have to. Because that's what a billionaire does, right? And so I think like success, like, but also back to the mentor-disciple relationship, right? Like the whole like, who's setting your goals for success, right? It should start at the home, right? Like your parents and your family should be setting up like, what does success look like for us as a family? What does success look like for you as a child? And so like I said, to me, I guess with my daughter, I would want, even like the other day, we set up our goals for 2025, right?
Okay.
And then after that, we set up by the quarters, how we're going to accomplish each goal. So January to March to whatever the 6 month is, right? So we have four steps after she first wrote down her 10 goals for 2025. And then we took those 10 and we broke them down how we're going to accomplish each one in 3 month marks, right? So I think like for me, success is just teaching my daughter how to accomplish her goals.
Okay.
Right. And I think like, how do we get our kids to be successful? Well, first they got to have good goals. Right? Because the bigger the goals, the harder the problem, and the harder the better the person they'll probably be at the end of the day. Right? So I always tell my daughter, shoot for the stars, because at least you'll end up with the moon.
But but is it ever too big? I mean, because you still want to be achievable. You still want to be achievable goals.
Well, I heard that if you make you will never reach your goal necessarily. So whatever goal you make better be really, really high. So that way you come somewhere near it. Does it make sense? So like if you say, I just want to be like, you always have to go for the highest situation, right?
And don't worry about the disappointment of not making it, but just the journey to
get there, right? Because think about how much you learn. The bigger the goal, the more you got to accomplish. Okay. If you just want to be a regular employee, there's not a lot of trials and tribulations to become a regular employee. But if you say, I want to own the biggest phone making company in the world, think about all the steps you have to take to get there. Think about all the knowledge you have to take to get there. So I think we as a community have to start telling our kids to make big goals, but also not just the goal, like I do with my daughter, what are the action steps to get to that goal? Okay. Because that's where the journey comes in. And honestly, the success is in the journey. Mm-hmm. Success is the journey of being willing to take that journey and not give up on that journey. And just rolling with it. I mean, success, such a hard word to quantify in America, right? It's like asking somebody how long's a piece of rope. To me, in a way.
That's funny. That's funny.
It's like, but it's very I guess success is based on the person, right? Just like a piece of rope is based on your perception. Yeah. But I think like at the end of the day, making sure that the person making those perceptions have the intent to try to make humanity better.
You know what? It brings me up to a phrase my uncle always said. And it's something that I just realized because us as people, we either tend to, like you said, we got to be on the sword. We can't just look forward. We always got to look back too. And I've always said from my uncle, he said, success is always getting what you want. But happiness is wanting what you already have.
Is what?
Is wanting what you already have. You know what I'm saying? So we because we achieve. We are achievers. We have achieved so many things. And a lot of times and the reason why I bring this up is because I think in our goal making oriented and us trying to be the greatest, we also don't take time to look back and say, damn, I did this.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you think about it, if happiness is wanting what you already have, what you already achieved, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a Xavier graduate. I could turn back and be happy because one, no one could take that from me.
Mm-mm.
You can't take what I've already done. You can't take what I've already accomplished. I'm a major in the military. You can't take that away from me. Now I have a sense of happiness because I set that goal, I achieved it, and of course I want more goals. I want more. I want to be more successful. But every blue moon, you gotta turn around and just be like, "Damn, look where I came from," and be happy with that. You know, and I try to teach that to my daughter, my son, and my wife. Like, hey, stop worrying about the other man's race, the other man's thing, though. But look where you at. You didn't just get here. One. Me and you both can say this though. How many of our homies ain't make it? How many people we know didn't make it to 18, 20, 30? I just buried my best friend 2 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Buried him. And his birthday's on Christmas, so it always hits me around Christmas time. And I'm like, damn. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to be 43 years old. Which, you know what I'm saying? I'm at the point where I'm realizing, damn, my dad only made it to 57.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You know what I'm saying? So I have to turn around and be like, damn, let me look back at what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? Like my kids. I moved to LA from St. Louis. You know what I'm saying? I graduated Xavier it was times when we all didn't think we was gonna graduate. You know what I'm saying? It was times where we was like, hey mom, hey, so they send you a letter about academic probation. Look, that everybody got it. I got to figure out. Everybody on academic probation.
I figured it out.
We figured it out, you know. And that journey, because I look back and then, like I said, we reminisce about all the stuff, but man, like, look where we've come. Like you said, now we're those adults, and it's like, dang, I was the parents, you know what I'm saying? Now we got kids that's about to do the exact same thing. And I was like, one, I'm sorry, mom. Because I didn't know I put you through so much.
I know, right? You don't realize what they were doing until you become a parent. Like man.
But you know what I'm saying? Now as a parent, it's like, okay, how can I be a better parent? You know, and another thing I always say is this, like the biggest, and I've said this in my podcast before, and I will reiterate it, like you have two goals as a parent. One, to make sure your kid can live without you. Mm-hmm. The second was to make sure they never have to. Mm. You know what I'm saying? Make sure that you do what you can to stay living as long as possible. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, it's that how can I get you right? How can I get you ready? How can I prepare you for a world that I don't quite know about? You know what I'm saying? Because, you know what I'm saying? I wanted this educational series. I wanted to do this episode because everybody was asking me, what do you think about the election? What do you think about the election? And I was like, the one problem I thought about the election is that unfortunately for the last 12 years, my life has been determined, my livelihood, my work ethic, what I do, how I'm going to go for the next future has been determined by somebody who's 2 generations before me. You know what I'm saying? That's the problem I'm having. Not who it is that my life is being decided by someone. There is more people in my generation alive than the people that are in charge. Right. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy because Gen X is not doing it. It's been the boomers the whole time. And even when we're not even millennials, it's still 2 more generations next now, right? It's generation Beta and Z. And yet 5 generations ahead are still controlling that. So it's like, okay, when they do go off, we're going to be lost. Because we're not building the foundation of the children before that, because Gen X don't want to have nothing to do with it. Can you picture who the next president is going to be? No. After this, can we picture what generation is going to be? Like, we have no clue. Yeah. And we're nervous because if Gen is not going to be Gen X, because we think Gen X is probably, they're just as about as old as we are. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because Gen X is what, 65? They were born in 65. Millennials born in 79. Right. And we kind of don't want to have nothing to do with it either because we know what politics is. So that means that the Gen Z will be the first to win the presidency. And so then we worry about us. Are we preparing them the right way? Are we preparing our kids to be able to handle this? Because or is Gen Z and Gen, what you call them? Was it Gen Beta?
Beta is going to be 2025 it starts beta.
Are they ready to just get rid of us? Like, what's going to happen?
But you can't get rid of the mentors. I mean, it's
that's what I'm saying.
We mentor side, but I feel like, so you're saying,
what's our future? Are we preparing our kids?
I'm like, that's what I said. That's why I think it's on the parents to like just do everything in your power. Like, honestly, like I tell you, like buy your kids workbooks, right? Like, I mean, just quick little thing. If I had a kid in elementary school right now, what I would do is buy them an English workbook for vocabulary, a reading workbook, and a math workbook that goes for their grade level. Every day, give them one of those books, make them work on it for 30 minutes.
You know, that's funny you say that. You know why? And I'm sorry, I rolled back. Go ahead, finish that.
Last thing, from second grade, I don't know why I'm going off. That's weird. Second grade, first grade, they should be reading 10 minutes a day, second, 20, third, 30, fourth, 40, fifth, 50, and that's where it stops. So if you just build your kid up to that, academically, they should be okay. So those are like the basic things you could do. But like what I just said, right? How many parents are doing that? Nah, exactly. But you can go to any Barnes & Noble right now and buy those 3 books for your kids and a reading book for fun, right? A vocab book.
Is there more Barnes & Nobles?
There is. I take my daughter there.
It's good to know.
See what I'm saying?
I ain't gonna lie. I Amazon stuff.
Huh?
I Amazon.
Yeah, I like to physically touch it.
No, I like my books too.
You read your book, but it's just the whole part. I love books. I know, but I like to physically touch them. And
so here's my reason why I bring that up, and it keyed me. So you know what I'm saying. Our biggest fear in the war next is that they're gonna kill the internet. They're gonna kill satellites.
You think they will?
Absolutely. That's the best way to do it. That's the best way to do it. Like if you really want to cripple the economy, what'd you do? Take out the internet.
Yeah.
Take out the banking system.
Okay.
How, you know what I'm saying? Are our kids prepared for that?
Do you, like, I guess as a parent, how much do you feel that you should prepare for these situations that, that may happen, or prepare for the situations that we're currently in?
But the instantaneousness and the not...
Because if that's the case, right, like let's just say, boom, internet goes out, banking system goes out. Your kids have a military father. You're going to teach them how to like live off the land.
This is true.
But these are things like, once again, right? Like this all comes with the whole.
That's what I'm saying. So as a teacher though, because I know I've heard that, and you answer this if I'm wrong, have the education systems, it's also shifted, because I'm not even going to lie to you. I've seen some of my son's homework. I have to go in, YouTube, figure it out myself to try to get him to learn it as well, because they changed the way it's done.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or he'll go and he's like, well, I'll figure it out. It's on YouTube. So I just go and look at YouTube to do that. So should I adapt?
Yes.
Or still try to keep them at the basics? And I know I asked it because I'm trying to learn how can I teach them? Because you said we got to get there, right? If they're learning a different way because of the times. But I'm I guess prehistoric about how, you know what I'm saying? Because I think that, hey, if you know the basics, you know how to do it without the... You know what I'm saying?
Stuff, yeah.
The extra stuff, you can always get down to the root.
Right.
So as a teacher, how can I make my child successful in bridging that gap, or trying to figure out how to get them to either, do I have to advance myself, or do I help bring them to more of a basic need? Like, hey, so let's talk about it. 1 + 1 is 2.
Right.
That's the basics of everything. 1, 1, 2. Versus, or the calculation where it's like, you've seen it as, you know what I'm saying, the new calculations where it's instantaneous, or they skip over that completely. They go straight to another, you know what I'm saying, to like a program. How can I be better for my kids to figure that out? Or to get
I think at the end of the day, right, the SAT and ACT, even though they're starting to exclude it from schools, are still the SAT and the ACT. And they don't care about all those little weird ways that they're teaching how to do multiplication now. They're still going to give you the same multiplication problem, right? Okay. So if you give your kid that book on math, yeah, it might be a little different in class, but if they understand the concepts because you've been working with them, it's not going to be a big deal. And reading and vocabulary haven't gone anywhere.
Ain't gonna change.
So those are things, so like I said, yes, there are little quirks to the whole situation, right? Like math, how they're always trying to change it, but they still just want you to know multiplication, division, and exponential, whatever, all at the same time. So I just think like, at the end of the day, to keep it 100, we can either make excuses or we can be great.
Facts.
Right? I can tell my daughter, you can either be a victim or a victor. Right? And so like, what do we got to do to be a victor in the situation?
Okay.
Right? And so like, and there's already written plan. Like, yes, at the different schools, some some consultant will come up with some stupid math strategy that makes the kids learn it better. But at the same time, it's the same knowledge,
institution,
right?
Yeah.
And I promise you, as a parent, if you teach your kid how to do like multiplication on a hard level and they're getting all the right answers, and you go into the teacher and say, I don't care about none of that, give my kid his point because the stuff is right, you'll probably get your kid the point.
Okay.
So I mean, like, because the point is still, are they understanding the knowledge?
How did you get your daughter to enjoy reading? I'm having a problem with that.
Well, I'm an avid...
Or as a teacher.
I mean, I'm just an avid reader myself. So my daughter just naturally, I think it's just in her blood. My mom was a reader. I'm a reader. So I just think like, you know, at the same time, you just got to give it time. And modeling, right? They see you reading, they're going to want to read. And like I said, how old's your daughter?
My daughter's 3.
Oh, the 3-year-old doesn't.
Yeah, but the 12-year-old boy.
12-year-old, look, that just, like I said, that goes back to the discipline concept. Like you need to just honestly, because it's so important, more important, it's important that he's able to sit down for 50 minutes and not need a distraction. So that's what you're teaching him. Because when you start taking all these standardized tests, like, you know, you got all these degrees, you start taking these standardized tests, you got to take a standardized test to get into college, you got to take a standardized test if you want to go to a master's program after you get out. Like, there's all these standardized tests.
So, to get into the military.
Right. So they got to be, so your kids have to be used to just sitting there for 50 minutes at least without needing to grab a phone or do something weird. So, like, that's the goal, right? So I would say if your kid's 12, you know, it's too late just to jump them into the 50 minutes, but maybe like give him a book. I don't care. Take him to Barnes & Noble. Let him go through the whole process of seeing cool books and looking through them and seeing which one he wants. But this is the book you're going to be reading 30 minutes a day. And then after like maybe a month, you go up to 40. And then once you get, then maybe give them 2 months of that, then do 50. But once you get to 50, you don't no longer got to go no higher than that. Because the human brain can only focus for 50 minutes before it needs a distraction.
Okay.
So that's what I would do if I was you, because at the end of the day, you can't tell me there's not some book he won't like.
Right. No. I agree.
Books are like, you know, so it's just, but the problem is, what access do you allow him?
Okay.
You allow him probably access to all this other distractions. But you handle your scandal first, and then I'll let you do all this other stuff.
Dope. Well, Jason, man, I want to say thank you, brother. You done. Hey, this is, first off, hey, I'm happy that I can bring this to what we all probably have talked about. We've all been in these conversations. Like, you know, as we're growing up, because before we even had kids, we were like, man, we had a plan, and then life happened. And then now we have to be able to say this plan and figure out from the next level, and to be able to come today, right now, hey, bro, hey, I need to have you on the podcast, bro. You was like, say less. That to me was amazing. The fact that you from Grambling, you know what I'm saying?
That's okay.
Xavier graduate.
Still Xavier graduate.
You know what I'm saying? An educator. You know what I'm saying? Like, first off, and though, like, having been a teacher back in high school, back in St. Louis, and understanding how instrumental, because you said it, you never had a black male teacher.
No,
I've only had one.
I don't even black teacher until I went to HBC.
Like, Kendall McGowan was my black teacher, male teacher I've ever had. It was crazy. It means so much for what you're doing to these kids. To seeing, hey, what a successful black man looks like. That's not dancing, rapping, or playing ball. Nothing against any of them. No. Hey, look. Hey, trust me, if you LeBron James, be LeBron James. Not even tripping, you know what I'm saying? If you Michael Jackson, be Michael Jackson or Chris Brown. But we don't get to see a lot of that. Like, they don't get a chance to see and admire the fact that you come to their games, like you said, you're a part of your student lives. You show up, you show out. Your daughter's influential, and you're not perfect. No, not perfect. You know what I'm saying? Close. But as another man to another man, and seeing that, like, I respect you. I appreciate you, bro. Like I said, you've been a father before I've been a father. So trust me, your mistakes and what you go through and what you put in, I absorb and I watch, because as a man, I'm like, yo, there's no rule book. Like what your mama said, you know.
Ain't no books written.
Ain't no books written.
Ain't no books written
about being a parent. We just want to appreciate you, bro. Like, and you know, here at the Dadpod Bodcast, what we do, y'all, we drink. We drink whiskey. So to my man, you know what I'm saying? Hey, one of my favorite, bro.
This looks like a fire bottle, though.
Man, it's Basil Hayden, man. One of my selections. Ooh. That is for you.
I love it.
Appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate you, brother, man. Hey,
this has been...
It's dope to go from the conversation we used to have in college to this conversation right here.
We can't have those.
We can't not for the Dadpod podcast.
No, we can't have
maybe
those.
when you go to an offshoot,
You know what I'm saying?
After Dark podcast.
Man, so hey y'all, once again, want to tell everybody happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Be safe out there. This is more to come. Episode 4, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. So we're making it happen. Signing out here, y'all. Peace.
Appreciate it. I do.